back up. Running down the half guard. He reels it in at the 15. Cooper Kupp has the catch.
The greatest D tackle ever right here.
It's good. Mike Williams with the grab.
Feeling fresh as hell.
Chargers lead 29-28. The Trojans have won the Rose Bowl.
There he goes. Kashmir Allen, 2 long receiving touchdowns, and now a kick return touchdown. This day belongs to Kaz.
You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
What is up, and welcome out to Radio Row. Will Decker, your host of the LA Football Network. We got an old friend from last year, Mr. Ryan Leaf in the house. Dude, how is the Super Bowl week treating you so far?
It's treating me well. I brought my family this time, so I had the little 5-year-old running around this whole place yesterday, actually doing interviews and stuff like that, so it's been a lot of fun. It's also given me a real good excuse to not have to go out to any of the events at night, and I'm in bed like at 9 o'clock.
Hey, man, I'm all about the party scene right now, but I get it, man. Family, man, you got to be home with the kids. A lot of big stuff going on. We are the LA Football Network. You are a Pac-12 guy, so I want to get some takes on you. UCLA and USC are going to the Big Ten.
Right.
It's kind of a done deal. How are you feeling about that as a guy that's, was a part of the Pac-12? You're a guy that probably should have won the Heisman, as we talked about last year in '97. I'm with you on that one, Leaf. Give me your take on the Bruins and USC going out to the Big Ten.
When it first happened, it was hard. It's the history of the Pac-10, Pac-12 conference, all of that. But now, as we've gotten further away, good riddance for me.
Yeah.
Beat it. Let's usher in the new Pacific Conference, whatever that's going to look like. I think we'll be just fine. We'll see what George Kliavkoff can bring to the table in terms of maybe expanding it with some other teams and building something with the new TV rights deal. And when they make I'd rather see him gone next year. I don't want to see him, but I do like the idea that Caleb Williams is back, and Washington's got Michael Penix Jr. and some other quarterbacks with DJU up at Oregon State.
Nix.
Yeah. Nix at Oregon. So I think it's going to be a fun year, maybe a good opportunity to, put a beating on them before they leave.
Cameron Rising, too, from Utah. This conference has never been more loaded at the quarterback position in terms of depth out there. I want to get your take on Caleb Williams. Heisman returning next year, couldn't declare for the draft. What do you see with this young kid that makes him so special, as most are tabbing him as the number one pick for next season?
Well, he would be the number one pick if he would have been able to come out this year. So that tells you right now that it is a terrible system.
Yeah.
Right? This is the same thing that we could have had the conversation with Trevor Lawrence after his freshman year. So if a guy's capable of playing, should be able to go to the next level. But with NIL now, they're able to kind of maybe compensate for that, having to stay in college to play. We're seeing it all over the country. Guys are staying in even if they have and are draft eligible because of their ability to make some money on the end. So he's really talented, has great arm talent. He can use his feet. He seems like an incredible leader. I've talked with Lincoln Riley a bit about him, and when Lincoln loves somebody, he's pretty special. He's done that with many different quarterbacks along the way, from Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray to Jalen Hurts. So
yeah.
He's just the next in the long line of great quarterbacks under Lincoln Riley for sure.
And I don't know if you've seen tape on this guy yet. Dante Moore's coming to UCLA, so the crosstown rival. This guy in the All-American game, 4 touchdown passes, was unreal, dude. Putting the ball in the end zone, opposite side. He's getting hit, throwing balls into the just crazy stuff. What have you seen from Dante Moore? If you know anything about him,
not much, because I do not wade into the what I consider the cesspool of high school recruiting.
Sure.
I let others do that, and then I borrow from their information. I go to the studs on that. Yogi Roth is incredibly good at all
Very
that stuff.
Good.
But I know Chip Kelley, and I know Chip Kelly's offense. My brother played in that offense. I've paid real close attention to it, covering it for the last few years. He's going to thrive in it. He's really going to thrive in it. It's a good opportunity for him. I don't know what UCLA looks like in the Big Ten, but I know in the Pac-12 next year they're going to be able to compete in their final year with the conference. And I don't know if he starts immediately, but if he does, he's going to make an impact.
Love it, man.
What do you think about the draft class this year of quarterbacks? You have any reads on those guys?
Yeah, you got the guys at the top, of course, with C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Will Levis intrigues me a ton, simply because he reminds – the comp I have for Will Levis is Josh Allen. And I don't mean the Josh Allen that we see now. I mean the Josh Allen coming out of college. Both of them played their final years there, were considered possible draft picks, didn't have great seasons, not very good statistics. Both have incredible arms, good with their feet. So that's the guy's ceiling. If you could get Josh Allen, wouldn't you take that chance? You just never know how a guy's going to turn out. I think he's got a good mind. I think he's smart. I think you just never know how somebody's going to deal with adversity. If you go to a bad team and you lose and you get beat over the head with it a bunch, how are you going to react? How are you going to deal with it? So that's my best comp out there right now this year is Will Levis in the vein of what Josh Allen was able to accomplish, and see if he can do the same.
I want to bring up an underrated guy, Jake Haener. Have you been able to watch this guy from Fresno State? I think this guy's a baller, and I think he's the most underrated quarterback prospect in the class. Give me your take on Haener, because I think this is a guy that's going to fall through the cracks a little bit. He's going to find his way, but we just saw it this year with Brock Purdy making a name for himself when his number was called. I expect something similar with Haener.
Yeah, I if I were him, I'd have no problem with it, right? Knowing as you fall through the cracks, end up with a really good team, get mentored, learn the system, get an opportunity, make the most of it, right? You have no expectations. No one expected one single thing from Brock Purdy. In fact, he was never even supposed to see the field this year. Same with the guy that just retired after 23 years and is the greatest of all time.
Brady.
No one expected him to ever play in the NFL. He was going to be a backup for Drew Bledsoe that entire time, but instead he got an opportunity because of the injury, made the absolute most of it. That's what you want from. That's the situation that Jake Haener is going to be in. He's going to go to a place. He's going to be a backup or possibly a third stringer, and he gets an opportunity if he's prepared himself. He's every bit as talented as any of the guys at the top of the draft, and we saw that at Fresno State. And I know that Jimmy Lake is kicking himself, and Chris Peterson are kicking themselves that they chose to go with Jacob Eason that year instead of Jake Haener, because they would have had him at Washington for the next couple of years.
Haener's an absolute stud. You got a question, Skinny Too?
Yeah. So both of the pro LA teams have new offensive coordinators. What is the relationship between a quarterback and a offensive coordinator look like, and how important is it that they're on the same page?
Well, it's really important, and I just absolutely love the Dallas Cowboys. Thank you so much, so much for giving me and the Chargers Kellen Moore. It is going to take Justin Herbert to an absolute new level. Those two are going to be, like fire and gasoline, man. And on the other side of that, nothing really changes. I know Liam Cohen's gone, but Sean McVay's the one that really runs that offense. He's going to, and him and Matthew Stafford have a really good relationship. They'll be fine with it, depending on who they bring in to kind of, bridge the gap between the head coach and quarterback at the offense coordinator position. So, really like where the Chargers are in Los Angeles. As for the LA side, it's all about Matthew Stafford staying healthy. That's what's going to be the answer in LA, and whether they can get back on top.
Yeah, the Rams had a tremendous amount of injuries on the offensive line this year.
Oh yeah.
I hear continuity is very important at those positions along the line. Can you say anything about those kinds of injuries and what kind of effect that has on the quarterback?
Well, yeah, the offensive line's about consistency. If you guys can keep guys together, that's the one unit really that five guys have to be working together cohesively to make it work. And when you got spot duty every single week, where someone news to your left and someone news to your right, it's tough to build a solid rapport and trust one another, especially when you're protecting a $40 million quarterback, right? That's hard to do. But by no means should the backups or the backups not have the ability to get in there and play. The reason they're not starting is because they're not quite good enough, but they're still good enough to be in the NFL. They got to be able to get out there and be able to make plays, and Sean McVay knows that. Yeah,
and we are here for the Super Bowl. I got to get a prediction before you leave. Eagles-Chiefs, I'm looking at it. Eagles may have the most complete roster in all of football. They have no holes on the roster, very deep. Maybe not the best players at each position, but they're looking really good. Chiefs, they have the best quarterback in the game, and they have the best play caller, and Andy Reid come in there. Give me your take. Who's going to win this game? What's the score? And who, All
right, so I'm with you in terms of what team I think is better. You take a list and check them off along the way. Philadelphia checks pretty much all those boxes, and it ultimately, starts to move the scales in favor of them. But then you add number 15, like you talked about, and those scales become pretty even again.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think just like the odds makers, especially at our sports book at PointsBet, they've had it at, right around 1.5 in terms of a favor for the Eagles, and nothing's changed. It's a pick'em game essentially. I think it's a highly contested game all the way through. I think the Eagles ultimately, because of that defense, get it done 34-31.
Like the prediction, man. Like the prediction.
Can you tell our audience about PointsBet? And, what makes
Yeah, PointsBet Sportsbook. Just, the sports betting world is taking over, and it's the future of all sports. And the NFL is the most bet on sport there is in the world. It's just it trumps anything even near it. College football is second, and it's like 90% less than what the NFL football is. They're talking about $16 billion being wagered on this year's Super Bowl. So I got in on the ground floor. I started my own show with PointsBet Sportsbook when they started their content side of it. It's called The Straight Line with Ryan Leaf. We do a daily TV show all about the sports betting world, but mostly just around football in general. Kind of talking about my life in football, my life now, working in football, and everything else outside it. So take a listen, enjoy it. Go to PointsBet Sportsbook and sign up and have some fun this weekend.
Ryan Leaf, man, we're so thrilled to have you on once again. Always a great hang with Ryan Leaf. Have fun with the family out here this week, and we'll be holding you to that Eagles bet this
All
week.
right.
Yeah.
34-31. Let's go.
Awesome. Signing off for LA Football Network. Have a good one.